What if I told you something most people never realize about men? That sometimes the man who appears the most distant is actually the one fighting the hardest battle inside his heart. What if his silence isn't a lack of interest, but the clearest proof that you've become his emotional weakness? Here's a truth that might change the way you see everything. When you become truly important to someone, especially a man who's used to control, he won't always chase you. He won't always confess. He won't even make it obvious. Instead, he resists you. And that resistance, that quiet distance, it says more than any words ever could. You see, most people look for the wrong signs. They expect constant texting, compliments, or grand romantic gestures. But psychology tells us something different. When a man starts to feel vulnerable, his instinct isn't to run toward the person who triggers that emotion. It's to protect himself from it. That's why the men who care the most often seem the coldest. Not because they don't feel anything, but because they feel too much. In this video, I'll walk you through 6 powerful signs that show you've reached that rare place inside a man, the space where logic stops working and emotion takes over. We're not talking about surface-level attraction. We're talking about the kind of emotional impact that makes him question his own control. Because when you become a man's emotional weakness, he doesn't just like you. He fears how much he likes you. The hidden psychology of resistance. Here's what's really happening inside him. Men are often taught to stay composed, to stay strong, independent, and emotionally contained, to never show too much. So when someone like you walks into his world, someone who awakens feelings he can't easily manage, his mind goes into overdrive. It whispers things like, if I let her in, what if she leaves? What if she sees how much I care? What if I lose myself trying to keep her? And instead of chasing you, he builds walls. But those walls, they're not built to keep you out. They're built to protect him from his own emotions. That's why he acts unaffected, even when his heart is racing. Why he seems calm, even when your presence shakes him. Why he says he's fine, when every part of him is fighting to stay composed. His distance isn't rejection, it's self-defense. When the mind and the heart disagree, even as he tries to resist, his body and his behavior begin to betray him. His voice softens when he says your name. His eyes linger a little too long. His energy shifts whenever you walk into the room. These aren't things he plans. They happen because emotional attraction isn't a choice. It's a reaction. Science explains it simply. When we're drawn to someone, our nervous system reacts before our logic does. His heart rate changes. His pupils dilate. His tone adjusts. It's not performance. It's biology. He might suppress his feelings in his words, but his body speaks a different language. One that's far more honest. Why he acts so casual around you. You might notice something strange. He acts too relaxed. His laugh feels a bit exaggerated. He seems overly casual, almost like he's trying to prove something. That's not confidence. That's overcompensation. When someone truly doesn't care, they don't have to prove it. They just are. But when someone is fighting deep feelings, their brain works overtime to maintain control. That's why he overacts. Why his I don't care energy feels a little too obvious. And if you look closer, you'll realize he doesn't act that way with everyone else. It's only around you. Because you, somehow, became the exception to his calm, his subtle avoidance. Then comes the next shift. He starts limiting his exposure to you, not because he dislikes you, but because being near you feels dangerous. He might skip events where you'll be. He might avoid one-on-one time, or cut conversations short just as they're getting deep. It's not random, it's protection. The more time he spends with you, the harder it becomes for him to hide what he feels. And so, his subconscious takes over, keeping him away from the very person he wants most. Psychology calls this avoidance coping. It's when the heart feels drawn to something the mind isn't ready to face. He's not running from you. He's running from his own emotions. The contradiction in his body. Even when he's distant, his body betrays him. Watch closely. His feet point toward you even when he's trying not to look. He leans in without realizing, then catches himself and pulls back. His breathing changes when you're near. And when your eyes meet, there's that brief, electric silence that neither of you can explain. That's the truth hiding beneath the act. He may say we're just friends, but his body says otherwise. Because attraction isn't logical, it's chemical, and no amount of pretending can override that. The emotional shift. Over time, you'll notice something deeper. His emotional rhythm changes when it comes to you. He's calm with everyone else, but reactive with you. He's indifferent to others, but sensitive to your tone. You trigger emotions he doesn't show anyone else, and that scares him. When you're his weakness, you don't just change his behavior, you alter his emotional landscape. He starts feeling everything more intensely. The highs, the lows, the jealousy, the warmth. Because once someone reaches his emotional core, he can't go back to indifference, the mind that can't stop thinking. You'll notice it in his words. He'll mention you when you're not around. He'll remember small details you barely recall saying. He'll connect random things to you. Songs, places, jokes, memories. That's not coincidence. That's mental occupation. When someone becomes emotionally significant, the brain starts forming constant associations. You become part of his internal world, a quiet echo he can't turn off. Even when he tries to distract himself, you resurface. In thoughts, in habits, in conversations. That's what it means to be someone's weakness. You're not just in his heart. You've taken space in his mind. The moment his walls slip. And then, there will come a moment, a small, unguarded second when all the pretending fades. When his eyes soften, when his voice trembles just slightly, when he says your name like it means something. It happens quickly, but it's real. Because no matter how much he resists, the truth always finds its way out. And in that moment, you'll see everything he's been trying to hide. The care, the longing, the quiet fear of losing control. That's when you'll know. You weren't imagining it. You were the one he tried and failed not to fall for. Being someone's weakness isn't about control. It's about emotional gravity, the invisible pull that connects to people, even when one of them is fighting it. So if his silence feels louder than words, it's because sometimes resistance is the deepest confession of all.